I'm a big believer in trial by fire. You have to put yourself in that position where the only option is success.
What attracted you to entrepreneurship? Have you always felt like your expectations were higher than those around you? What is the long-term scale play for you guys? Talk about the identity shift, because it's something that I personally experienced.
Your whole life you're known as something, and then you're trying to shift into something you're not. That's the whole point of growth, is like constantly pushing the envelope. If you are not taking risk, then...
Kyle Casaccio joins us with more. Kyle, thanks for being here.
We're welcomed today by Kyle Casascio, CEO, founder of Old Pro Agency, Thank You for Dancing, Sunday Morning Club. Everybody has seen Kyle through the lens of social media, but nobody has heard what it takes to be an entrepreneur in today's digital age. Kyle, it was a pleasure to have you on. Without further ado, let's hop in. Link Live, episode 17. We're joined today, very special guest. It was extremely hard to get this guy to this office in these studios, but we're welcomed by Kyle Casascio today.
Pleasure to be
I
here.
consider a friend.
That's right.
Co-founder, CEO, Thank You for Dancing, Sunday Morning Club. There's probably a couple other things in that list that I'm forgetting, but we'll get into it. But excited to have you here. Thanks for coming.
I'm stoked to be here. Yeah, I think this has been like a 5-month mission, but
Yep.
it's good. Now I feel like this is like an appropriate time. We've had a little bit more of the journey, a little bit more beef on the bone to chat about. So
Yeah. We've talked over the past couple of years. We've kind of been what some would say is on the come up together in parallel.
That's right. That's right. Your contact in my phone is Lorenzo HVAC DJ.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you what yours is in mine?
Yeah.
I swear to God, because I wanted to show you it. And I planned today, I said, until Kyle comes on the podcast, I'm not changing his contact. It says Kyle 8 Hospitality.
It's fucking hilarious. Shout out.
Might have to cut that. Yeah. No, but yeah, obviously we go back to hospitality days, kind of ran around some of the same nightlife circles and whatnot. And obviously now we're both doing deservingly so, but completely different things. So we'll get into that in Link Live fashion and kind of what we want to talk about. I told you off camera, but I want to highlight Kyle, the entrepreneur, Kyle, the business owner, rather and contrary to what everybody sees on social. We're obviously going to get into that, but what makes up Kyle, your upbringing, all that kind of stuff. So let's start there, kind of at square zero.
Square zero.
Right.
Birth.
Chicagoland kid. But what were some of those early influences for you? What were you into as a kid? What were some of those interests?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I was just like a total mess, like always getting in trouble. Like I was a loud kid, ADHD, loved the fuck out of attention, which still translates to this day, obviously. But was never like goal oriented, like was never like the smart guy in school. Was more so like known as like, funny guy, like, not afraid to embarrass himself in public, like, pull a stunt. I was constantly getting in trouble at school. But I think like in reference to, this podcast and the growth, it's like, where did I first kind of get that initial drive and start to value like work and success? Like my parents had me working since 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't have to abide by like the laws if you're a caddy. Yeah. So it's like you can start working way younger. So I must have started, I don't know what 7th grade is, like 14, 13. But I started caddying like at that young age. Granted, I hated it. Like some of the people that I would caddy for, like the bags would literally be bigger than me. Like I was a small kid. Must have weighed like 80 pounds back then. And that kind of was a good impact. My brother took it very, very seriously. And my brother started off being like more goal oriented than me.
Okay.
He always was like trying to scheme up money. I was like never like that. I was like, oh, let's focus on like having fun, like going out, like, very much like addicted to dopamine.
Yeah.
Like chatting with friends, constantly on the phone. My mom like threw my phone out the window one time because I was just always on the phone. We were in the car. And so yeah, I mean, and then kind of fast forward, high school, that all stayed the same, that all stayed true, toned down a little bit, didn't get in as much as trouble, kind of like learn the limit, but still like never focus on grades. Went to college, party life, frat, very,
ASU.
very, very, yeah, ASU, very cliche of like, of someone that's in like my industry.
Sure.
Like, you know what? They throw events now. Like, oh, how did you get started? I was a social chair in my frat. But that really like was the case, is like the starting point of building that skill set, which I have now, which I didn't even realize was a skill set
Right.
until a while, you know, like if I look, you know, I would analyze, I took my job so seriously as a social chair, you would have thought I got paid. Um, but you know, we were always doing like above and beyond shit. And we were like, I was always like focused on cutting costs and like, how can we maximize, you know, the, the use out of the budget. And so we started buying equipment. We were buying inflatable slides, like buying speakers, buying the DJ boards. I was brokering deals with like local alcohol shops. Like, hey, you know, usually it's like $12 for the shitty handle. I told them, I was like, I'll buy 100 from you a week. You can give me them for $8. Brokered a deal. So like different shit like that, which at the time, like I never thought like, oh, I'm building a skill set.
Right.
Like I was just like, it's just like immaturely enough, like doing it for the frat, like for immature reasons. So, you know, that was like more so all the same. And then, I had tried my hand at being an entrepreneur a couple of times in college. Started drop shipping, wanted to do a blue light blocking brand, like blue light blocking glasses, like which is like a huge trend a couple of years ago, if you remember that.
Yep.
Failed miserably. Then I was like, okay, I don't know how to drop ship. Let someone teach me how to drop ship. Applied for like a mastermind. Paid this guy $5,000, which I don't even have. I had to borrow money from my brother. And I get into this mastermind. The application went through, which really was all bullshit. Like
Right.
everyone that applied that was going to give them money was going to get through. And like the preface of it was like, if you get into this show, you're going to be on this Netflix reality TV show. There's going to be 10 of you. We're going to take you from $0 to $100,000 in 90 days. It's called E90X. And I was like, or your money back. So I was like, what's the fuck? Like, there's no catch. Like, you either make 100K in revenue or you get your $5,000 back. It seemed pretty dumb for me. My brother was like screaming. He was like, do not do it. Do not do it. And I go, Brett, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. Like, they picked me. You know, realistically, like the interviews I had with this team, which was like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you were going to get in no matter what. So they fly me out to, now I'm rambling, but I'll keep going because it's a good story and it applies to the situation. So we get flown out to this place in Santa Barbara, California or something, or whatever it is. And I show up at this conference where it's supposed to be 10 people. We're in this conference room, 150 people, 200 people. I find out that there's like different tiers to this shit. And it's like my buy-in was 5K, but there were people that bought in for 25K.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, what the fuck did I just sign up for? Like, I'm getting the shitty treatment. And you're in this room and they're giving you this hype up speech, firing you up, and you have to sign a contract in the room or you're out. So it's like, which is like illegal. It's like, you can't like pressure and, you know, there's a lot of ways to contract legality. And you can't put people in a contract and be like, either sign this contract or you're out, like against like all these other people.
Right.
And so that was the case. And I was like, I'm looking around, like, everyone else is signing. I'm like, fine, I'll sign too. Like, ended up being a total scam. So that was like my secondhand try at being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. COVID
hits. I had a job lined up from a mentor that I found because I was like, networking is your net worth. Like, you know, so as I read How to Win Friends and Influence People once, and I was like, I need to get a fucking mentor. So I got out a mentor. He offered me a job. He passed away right before I graduated. Oh. Yeah. And then COVID hit. So I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? I was friends with Carmen Rossi at the time. Mm-hmm. Hit him up and was like, can you give me advice? He was like, why don't you just come work for me? So I was living in Arizona at the time, didn't want to come back to Chicago. And I was like, all right, like, let's come back to Chicago. And so I tried my hand at the entrepreneur thing. I failed twice. So I was like, you know, maybe we should just be corporate life.
Yeah. What did you go to school for? What was that corporate path supposed to be if you wanted it?
It was marketing. It was always marketing. So I did stay in that, that path that was paved for me, but I didn't learn shit from school, honestly.
Right.
Like nothing that's like applicable to me now, just because the way that like marketing has changed so much.
Especially if you graduated during COVID.
Exactly. Like it was way before the social media boom. So what, I don't know, there was more traditional marketing, which is still valuable, but it's
Sure.
like in today's day and age, I think that modern techniques trump that tenfold.
Yep. Awesome. So you get to graduating kind of in the height of COVID. You connect with some individuals in the city here. You then join a hospitality group. So what were some of the initial jobs you were doing? Were you promoting a little bit? Were you working behind the scenes? How did that play out?
Yeah, so obviously like working for a hospitality group, you might think like restaurants. It was like more like club focus. So it was like Joy District Covered In, Liquor Box. We had some restaurants under our belts, but mainly, I was like in a hybrid role, kind of, and that's very traditional for hospitality. It's not unusual for like the corporate structure to be like a little bit messy, and which I loved. I loved it. It's like I was promoting, which meant I was going out for free, getting free tables, getting free bottles, made me look sick as fuck. And then we were doing like marketing, planning events, business development, outreach, kind of a little bit of this and a little bit of that, which was super valuable in everything that I've learned now. Definitely, just like I think marketing is like a process of trial and error,
For
figuring
sure.
out what works and what doesn't.
Everybody says like within hospitality, it's one of the most valuable industries to create connections and develop relationships. Did you kind of have, because I kind of had this personally, but did you kind of have like a master plan behind the scenes where you're like, I'm going to kind of see this out and work within this until I can meet the correct people, the right people, and then find my lane there?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any of that?
My master plan was actually just like be a good corporate employee, and like my connection was like Carmen.
Yeah.
Which if you don't know Carmen,
Tell
he's
the
in
people
pocket.
Carmen is.
He's like he's probably one of the most influential people like in the entire city, in my opinion. That and just has his hands in everything. And from a hospitality standpoint, just one of the best. Perceives hospitality in like a way that's very unique that I haven't heard many people speak on. But so my plan was like, this guy's gonna be successful, like let me latch on to him. Like if I just do a good job, if I crush it, like there's gonna be opportunity that will rise like down the line, like equity opportunities to invest. If I have a concept, I'll
Right.
come to him. And as you get older, you things kind of morph and shift. And I think like as I got older, I kind of really started to question like where I was at in my life
Yeah.
and like where I wanted to be. I think that a common flaw that people do all the time is, let's say you're 21, you just graduated college, and you're like, when I'm 26, I'm gonna be making $500,000, whatever X number is, I'm gonna make X amount of dollars, and you just assume that due to time there will be progression, and that's not the case at all.
Correct.
It's like time doesn't equal progress. Progress equals fucking progress. So, and I was like, I had always looked at myself like, who was I going to be at 26?
Right.
I was going to be making this much money. I was going to be preparing to have a family. I was going to have some rental properties. And that's just like that story that I told myself. And so I wouldn't, like my younger self, like wasn't worried because I was like, by the time I'm 26, I'm going to have it figured out. 26 hits and you're like, I'm behind schedule. Like what did I do? And I just kind of had like one of those like violent wake up calls. And I was like, what am I doing with my life?
Is there anything specifically that drove you to that sort of light bulb moment, or was it just a progression over time of things compounding? Then you woke up one day and you're like, this isn't it, or there should be more to this.
I think I had so I had tried to also other entrepreneur journeys past the college. Like I tried like an Amazon drop shipping store.
Mm-hmm.
We had like some success at first, but then it got shut down by Amazon, as most of those accounts did. And so like I just had tried so many times to be an entrepreneur. Like I tried and tried and tried and like nothing worked out. And
at those points, what attracted you to it? What attracted you to entrepreneurship?
Honestly,
Was it betting on yourself? Was it more the upside potential?
I honestly don't think that like back then I really had a clear game plan, which probably was why my ambition wasn't fully in it. And like, 'cause my brother had always been entrepreneurial and always ambitious, and like I saw the success that he had had with some of his entrepreneurial journeys, and I was, I thought to myself, I want to do that too.
Uh-huh.
But I was kind of doing things that I wasn't passionate about, that I didn't really believe in. But the only thing that was driving me to do it was the money.
Right.
It wasn't like the mission. So if it's not the mission, then it's like, you're driven by anything. Any opportunity that comes up, you'll be attracted to it, and your mind will be scattered. So when I finally had kind of made this transition, I remember this was to me the turning point in my life that I can remember so clearly, so vividly. It was Halloween, and it was 2023 or 2022, I think 23, and I had kind of, you do those things, you go out every weekend, go through the motions, and I'm starting to say to myself, I'm like, this isn't that fun. Like, this isn't that fun. Like, I'm just going through the motions. I'm never even going out with a plan. I'm just going out, showing up, and like hoping something's cool. Hoping I run into some friends. Like, hoping there might be a girl at the bar to flirt with. Like, hoping all my friends come out. And you start to realize like those nights stack up where it's like your hopes, your expectations don't meet what the reality. And so I had gone home so many nights, like just blacked the fuck out. And I'm like looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I need to figure this out. I need to figure this out. And you said it a million times over. But I remember one night I looked at myself in the mirror, this after Halloween. Mm-hmm. Halloween's supposed to be this very, very fun day, something you look forward to. So exciting. And I remember it was just such a mess, like hated it. And I remember just kind of feeling like all my friends had already been successful. They'd already been doing their own thing. And I'm like kind of looking around them, and I'm like, I'm not, like, what am I doing? So I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, I said to myself, I go, I'm going to try being an entrepreneur one more time. And if it works out, like, great. If not, like, I'll accept the fact, and I'll just accept the fact that maybe I'm supposed to live an average life. But I told myself, like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in.
Yeah.
So I took the next month, November, off. I took the next 2 months off. I didn't drink at all. I didn't go out. And I stayed in, took so many fucking courses, went on Upwork, was applying to a million different people to do their marketing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did to end up ultimately quitting my job. Was, I started a marketing agency as well. Was applying to do marketing for people just viciously, having no clue what to do, having no clue how to price anything. Finally, like, one hit, and then that was on the day after Christmas, and I was like, oh my God, like, so exciting, like, building momentum. I go out to New Year's Eve and to celebrate, and I just remember again, like, high expectations, reality just wasn't fun at all. And I said to myself, okay, you know what? I have momentum. This non-drinking thing is really playing a favor for me, because those hours that you can get on the weekend where you can put into work instead of going out, you do that, huge. You're fucking smashing everyone around you.
Yeah.
No one's going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I didn't go out for like the next 8-9 months, like didn't drink once. And finally like led to quitting my job. And I had always told myself I was going to find one more client before I quit my job. So I'm going to find one more client just so I can have that security, that blanket. Because what I was making at the time was like $3,500 from this client minus expenses, maybe $2,800. Then factor in rent, like $1,600, $1,700, food. I'm left in debt,
right?
With everything. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm not finding this different client. I'm not finding this client, but I'm not happy at my job. Like, what do I do?
Is this job still at the time with 8 Hospitality? Okay.
Yeah, and so it's not that I didn't like the job. I think that like my ambition just outgrew the job.
Right.
And so I ended up like becoming like placing the job as the blame for where I was in my life, when in reality it was just like where I was in my life.
Yeah. I did the exact very, very similar, by the way.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people have that like similar story, 100%. But I couldn't find the second client, and I was like, you know what? Like, however much time I'm spending on my job, like, if I can't find a client with that resource of time, then maybe I should just
Right.
fucking go back to being the job. So I was like, fuck it, I'll quit. And then, you know, I'm a big believer in like trial by fire.
Sure.
So it's like you have to put yourself in that position where the only option is success. Because like having that blanket, that safety net of having the job still really diminished your ambition.
Correct.
Because you're like, if this doesn't work out, it really doesn't matter. It would be great if it did.
Right.
And then you quit, you're like, this has to fucking work.
Right.
So, and then, kind of after that, everything followed suit, started Sunday Morning Club, started Thank You for Dancing.
You said one thing that stuck with me a little bit about how you always had extreme expectation or high expectations. Have you always been like that, whether it was like for friends or people around you or situations or experiences where you felt like your expectations were higher than those around you, or you maybe had higher expectations for people around you than they even had for themselves? Or was that just the time of your life?
Like, okay, so rephrase the question. Are you like in like expectations in terms of like people's opinions of me, or like expectations of like, all what other people are doing? And
yeah, like I guess what controlled or what dictated having such high expectations and then feeling like it maybe fell short?
Yeah, I felt like just growing up as like a kid, especially, being the person that I was, which was always like the need to be the center of attention, which, I'm mature enough to admit that that was true. You know, always being social, like going out and like, you almost like put those expectations on yourself where it's like, I wonder where that guy's gonna fucking end up after high school.
Sure.
Like class clown, like, yeah, hope it paid out. And so, I always like had put those expectations on myself, I have to make this work. I remember I will never fucking forget this, but I had always put those expectations on myself even within high school. And I remember I told someone, I was like, they're like, what do you want to make when you're older? I was like 400K. This girl laughed in my face. She laughed in my face because like that was like my goal. Like, isn't like, there's not a fucking chance you're going to do that.
Right.
Because I was never perceived that, but I always had perceived myself that, and I knew that I was aware that the public perception of me was not that. So like that kind of put a chip on my shoulder, like,
Good.
Fucking prove you wrong.
Yeah.
But I never had done anything about it for the longest time. I kind of just thought like my personality and, me going out like bending, I'll meet the right person. Like you think that shit's just gonna happen like out of thin air. It just never plays out like that. It's like intentionality is literally everything.
Yeah. And I asked that intentionally because I feel like having those high expectations is a strong indicator of a successful entrepreneur.
Oh yeah.
Someone who's never like satisfied or doesn't feel like they can be satisfied. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, so shifting gears now a little bit, right? Like getting into the part of the story where I feel like a lot of the audience and obviously your viewers will know of you from. You're starting your marketing agency. You gave yourself no plan B. And then there's this Sunday morning club that pops up.
Sunday Morning Club.
What shifted from strictly just saying, okay, I have something good going with the marketing agency, I want to pursue that solely, to that idea coming? I think I kind of know the answer of this, right? And we talked off camera a little bit about the shift, especially in Chicago, but I think it's nationally, from sort of a nightlife emphasis, especially for people within their 20s, young 30s, whatever it is, to more of a wellness focused lifestyle. I like to tell people when I talk to clients and prospects, it's never been cooler to be healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Talk to us about that and maybe how that fueled this idea for Sunday Morning Club and what you were experiencing.
Totally. Yeah, I'm like the biggest health nut I know. Like I'm actually just got done doing like a 21-day like gut parasite cleanse.
Really?
Very intensive.
I've been seeing that all over TikTok.
I feel phenomenal. But yeah, like to me, just to go on to your point and then I'll answer the question, is to me, like if you can dial in your health, everything else will be dialed in. Your mood, the way you speak, your vocabulary, your ambition, like your thought process, just like the energy, like everything will be exponentially better if you can just like lock in your health. And if you can have that advantage as an entrepreneur, you'll not even fair to the competition. But and how that started with Sunday Morning Club, it starts back to that like New Year's date. So in kind of that October, where I said I was starting to go sober, As I was going sober, I had noticed that even though I was trying to be ambitious, I was still wasting my Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like a habit of just like human nature almost, where people look at like, you can even use it as like a biblical reference, like Sunday is a day of rest. Um, and now it's like Sundays are for being hungover.
Mm-hmm.
But I had replaced not drinking, but I still noticed like myself just not doing anything on Sundays. And I was like, why is that? Like, what am I doing? And, you look back at your life, how many years, let's say I've been drinking for 7, 8 years, and you count up those 52 Sundays in a year. It's like, I've missed a whole year of my life doing nothing on Sundays. A year has gone to waste.
Right.
And when I put that into that perspective, I was like, okay, so I had a New Year's resolution that I want to have a good Sunday every Sunday. What that meant for me, which was like getting out of the house more, eating healthy food, trying new things, preparing my body for Monday, meeting new people. And that just had like such a profound impact on my life. And I started to tell everyone about it, and everyone was like, that's actually cool. Like that's impressive. People are like, I want to start doing that with you. Like, you're right. I'm just hungover. Like, what am I doing on my Sunday? Like, why am I just wasting a day of the weekend where it's like Saturday we look so forward to? It's this exciting day, but we just Sunday's an afterthought.
Right.
It's like, why? Like, why not be intentional about our Sundays and do something productive and fun and create a memory, meet a new friend, like whatever it may be. And so I took that thought process, and I had seen this shift that you're talking about with like health. And there was this boom with run clubs, and I fucking hate running. So I was like, I'm not going to do a run club.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we have this idea that I know that works for me, and it solved the problem for me. And as you know, all great products solve a problem. And this problem that I had was not specific to me. This was not individual to Kyle Casaccio. This was like fucking national,
Sure.
like worldwide problem. Everybody in the world that you consume a cocktail on a Saturday, you deal with this problem. So I was like, okay, like that's a powerful mission statement, and that can speak to people. So I just didn't know what it was going to be. I had come up with like so many ideas what it was going to be. Like, are we going to do like talk circles, like balloon fights? Like, but I knew that it had to be like something to get people out of the house. Well, actually, I didn't know that, because the first Sunday morning club I ever did, we just like, I had this idea in my head for like a while. And, you have those ideas where you're like, oh, this is going to be so cool when it happens, but you never set like a date for it to happen.
Sure.
Kind of talks about what we're saying, like, 20 to 26, not being intentional. And you're like, oh, it's going to happen eventually, but don't know when. And like, I had been planning for the summer to launch, and then summer came and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I just thought to myself, it was one of those beautiful days on a Monday. And I'm like, it was the second week of June. And I go, I'm wasting fucking time. So that like Monday or Tuesday, I just put up a video. Sunday morning club, what it was about. I must have recorded the video for 3 hours. Like, not even kidding. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, it's perfect. It needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like 2,000 people saw it. Like, didn't matter at all. And yeah, like that was the start of that. And then like the first one we had, 15 people showed up, all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And when everyone got there, they were like, what are we supposed to do? I was like, what are we supposed to do? I was like, that's a good question. Like, I thought we were just going to hang out, like get in the sun. Like, that's just about getting outside.
Sure.
So I quickly realized like, oh, we need to add more activities. So we added the cold plunge the next week. Then we added the beach volleyball. We added the yoga, free juice shots. And then it started to be this thing where it's like, oh, you can get out of your house on Sunday, and what can you do? Like, it's kind of this health and wellness focused thing where it's like you can reclaim your Sunday, and like this will help you feel good, like sweat out the toxins, meet new people. And like, yeah, again, 15 people for the first one. 5th week we had like 250 people, 400 people. It's insane. And
do you think the progression of people showing up more and more pushed the growth of it naturally? Right, like different people showed up, you were getting suggestions, people were bringing different things. Like, is that kind of how the growth snowballed, per se?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like my thing was, I was initially doing it once every 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you look at like what drives growth, and it's like, one, the people actually attending the event and sharing it, like word of mouth marketing is still the most powerful form of marketing.
Yep.
You know, you trust the people around you, and then but more so, it's like you get more. The more times you do something, the more content you get. So like it was really about like my whole thing was like content. And when I first launched Sunday Morning Club, I was like, I'm going to post 5 times a week, 5 reels a week minimum, like no excuses. And like the Sunday Morning Club thing was like totally foreign nature, or you know, foreign for myself, but like also the people around me. Like they'd been used to party boy Kyle, like go out, like, you know, drink a ton. Like now I'm preaching health and wellness, like getting outside on a Sunday. Like, you know, people were like ripped me, like shredded me to bits. Like my friend called me like, are you okay?
I was going to ask about more of the mental state you were in at the time, right? People knew you for something else, right? Talk about the identity shift, right? Because it's something that I personally experienced.
Yeah.
Nightlife, DJ world, then transitions to, oh, you're a CEO, blah, 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 all that stuff. You had to have experienced some form of that as well. Yeah. How did you maybe block out that noise, right? And people say it's so cliche now. Don't care what anybody thinks about you. You can't give a fuck, blah, 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 that stuff. It's very easy to say.
Yeah, of course.
But in the moment, talk about how you maybe overcame the identity shift, some of the experiences around that.
Yeah, like, I mean, I cannot, I do like how you're saying, it's like, oh yeah, people say cliche, like, don't give a fuck. But like that isn't the reality. And so for the person that's sitting at home, and when they go to take some risk or they get out of their comfort zone and they do feel that doubt, they think that they're like in the wrong. They're like, oh my God, like, no, this famous podcast that I talked, like, they don't care. It's like, no, that's not true. Like, everyone cares. Like, sorry. It's just like, are you willing to push past that? Yeah. And yeah, for me, like, you know, you do have that imposter syndrome because like your whole life you're known as something, and then you're trying to shift into something you're not. And like, that's the whole fucking point of growth.
The whole reason, not to interrupt, that I wanted to do this show too, and like having guests like yourself, is because everybody within mainstream social media is consuming messaging from people that have already made it.
Yeah.
And when you've made it and you're a multimillionaire, 7, 8 figures, whatever it is, and you're looking at these people, it's a lot easier for them to say rather than getting input from people that are currently going through it. Totally. Or just made that jump 1, 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I remember it like clear as day, and like, dude, I still feel those doubts. But now it's like one of those things where it's like repetition. I've done it enough times. Like I understand that like it really doesn't matter.
Right.
But to how I was feeling in that moment is I questioned everything. I was like, oh shit, like this is embarrassing. You know, I remember my roommate's girlfriend at the time sent my roommate my post and literally said, this is embarrassing. Like, why is he doing this? And like, you know, that moment, like you can say, I don't give a shit. Like you total blood, like flushed out of my face, like heart sank. I was like, oh my God, but you know, maybe it is embarrassing.
Yeah.
And what I think the most powerful thing for me to do was that I removed myself from that environment entirely. And that, you know, I did go on that like 8 month sprint where I didn't go out. And when you're not around it as much, like you do start to realize like how little it matters. Like, oh, this doesn't impact me. And, you know, if someone's trying to be an entrepreneur, you're trying to aspire for something better, you want to learn a new skill. Like if you were going out in that beginning stage, like, you know, I don't set the rules, but in my opinion, like, good luck. Like, that's where you're going to set yourself apart. So being able to remove myself from that environment was really the most crucial. And that's where you just realize, like, you know, you're not hearing the gossip. You're not in it as much. Yeah. So it's irrelevant to you.
Right. Very interesting. Obviously, you guys kind of made your mark with Sunday Morning Club, and people expect it now. You guys have developed the club to be, you know, multi-seasonal, right? Where in the beginning there was more I don't want to say doubt, but concern maybe around like, oh, this is a beach thing, this is a summer thing, what are we going to do in a city like Chicago?
Yeah.
You guys quickly started to market it and launch in other cities. I know you guys found some success there, but you quickly shifted into being able to develop concepts and events for Sunday Morning Club in the winter, in the fall. Less about that, but talk about the the process of adapting in those moments, right? A lot of people in your case could have been like, you know what, this worked out a lot better than I even expected to, than I even thought. We'll see you guys back in May, right?
Yeah.
It gets warm again, but like that's not something that you wanted to do and
No.
willing to do.
Yeah, 110%. And that was the plan initially. We're like, we started off on the beach. Like, I didn't understand, like, Sunday morning club, it felt like a beach thing to me. It felt like a summer thing to me. And, we just kind of listened to our our consumers. People were like, what are you doing for the fall? I'm like, I don't fucking know what we're doing. But I knew that we wanted to grow, and I knew that I didn't want the growth to stop, and I knew that I had something good. And when I thought about like what was Sunday Morning Club in its essence, it was, the product wasn't pool plunges, beaches, and yoga. It was to have a good Sunday. Like that was the core to it. And like having a good Sunday can come in the form of literally anything. So we took that idea and we transferred it into different concepts and events. And my number one thing that, like, whenever I'm drumming up a concept, I just think of like, are we providing legitimate value? Like, is there actually something that people can get out of this? Because people pay in two forms. They pay with money and they pay with time. And we're asking, it's free. So, but we're asking for people's time, and we're asking for, people's time, which is really valuable, is them being hungover. Like that's a high barrier to entry to get through, to get people to be like, hey, I'm hungover. I'm still going to make an effort to get out of the house. So, we're like, okay, how do we do that? We did pickleball, we did rock climbing, we did coffee shop pop-ups, we did local farmers markets where we spotlighted like small businesses throughout Chicago. And so, yeah, like me to, if I wasn't excited about it, how could I expect anyone? So really just focusing on doing like cool, unique shit, and then doing it for free, which was the hard part, was like having to negotiate with these venues a million times over. Like why is it worth them losing thousands of dollars in revenue?
Right.
Like for this free event. And, we made it work, which was, we're super thankful to all the people that put us in those positions. So
yeah, it's really marketing for those venues at the end of the day.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. That's what we pitched them on.
That's another interesting point that I wanted to kind of double down on, is you strategically were able to put on something that provided nothing but value, which then, in my opinion, made it, I don't want to use the word easy because none of this is easy, but made it more than applicable to ask for something paid eventually. Where my question leading to is, was there thoughts about Thank You for Dancing when Sunday Morning Club was starting to gather legs and popularity, or was that always a plan aside from Sunday Morning Club?
I had the name Thank You for Dancing since college, bro. Like, like maybe like 1 or 2 years at the college, but like I had this name forever. And I had known that I wanted to do something, because like that was my passion in college. Like I threw these crazy like large scale events, like outside just the frat shit. Like I was throwing concerts, planning Vegas trips, like planning our school spring break. That was my passion. And I remember I'd seen like the Thank You for Shopping. Like that's where I stole my fucking logo from.
Love it.
But we just changed it to dancing.
Yeah.
But so what's funny is like people always think Sunday Morning Club came first, which it did, but it just got so much more steam. But I actually started Thank You for Dancing the week after Sunday Morning Club. Like I made the announcement. So, which is funny to think about. We talk about like this identity shift and how people perceive you. Oh, people were tearing me to shreds. Like,
right, because I would say you then did the double identity switch.
Yeah.
You said this like healthy wellness thing, and you're like, actually, I'm starting an events group that we're gonna be throwing events, and you're paying these ticket fees to get drinks and all this stuff.
Yes, and yes, 100%. And it was funny though too, because like people were like, "Who the fuck do you think you are? Like, you're not some savvy business guy. Like, you're, when other people see other people pursue their dreams, it makes them sort of uncomfortable.
100%.
Because like it puts that perspective for themselves. Like, wait, like, why aren't you going for your own dreams in your head? But then it's like easier to just accept the fact that like someone's doing well for themselves, and instead like diminish what they're doing.
Correct.
And be like, what you're doing is stupid. Like that's why I don't care to do it, because like this isn't going to work out. And So yeah, like we started those things like a week apart. And I didn't like know the direction. Like I didn't know the direction. I knew that I believed in Sunday Morning Club. I knew that I believed that we had a good product, and I knew that I believed in Thank You for Dancing, and I knew that I believed that we could provide a good product. So like it wasn't like it was like untrue to like who I was, because at that time I still didn't drink. I didn't drink during a single event throughout the summer, which first
Wow.
started Thank You for Dancing. Um,
It's hard to do when you're in that environment.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
It takes extreme discipline. How much of the short-term success of Thank You for Dancing do you think you could accredit to the virality of Sunday Morning Club? Do you think it's the same if there was no Sunday Morning Club?
I I don't think that there was like much of a like I don't think that any people that really go to Sunday Morning Club come to Thank You for Dancing. It is very too much different demographics, but what I can say is that the lessons that I learned
Mhm.
from Sunday Morning Club still like carry me to this day. Like the things that for example, like I'm a big believer in those 5 posts, 5 reels a week. Um And then I'm also a big believer in like you never know what's gonna work. So like one of my first ever viral video for Sunday Morning Club, it was one of the only videos that I ever debated not uploading.
Yeah, I remember you telling this story.
Yeah. And so I was like, it was just a super raw video that like didn't it was like 7 seconds. And this was literally this. This is all I said was I said every Sunday someone has the best Sunday of their life. Like, why not me? And that was it. And I was like, this doesn't really seem like enough, but I didn't have enough to do that 5 posts. So I go, oh, fuck it, I'll upload it. That post went viral,
Crazy.
and that shit carried me. So that was like, just so many different learning lessons just through trial and error. Like that's the most like trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Like
Yeah,
you don't know until you know, and then you know.
crazy. Well, I again said it to you off camera. We know the success that you've had around content and these viral concepts and bringing like almost a humorous yet authentic feeling towards the videos you're doing, talking about not having like overly produced and high production stuff associated and attached to what you guys do. Um, we all recognize the success there, but I wanted to highlight sort of the true discipline and kind of higher level things that go into building a business, right?
Things you don't see on the camera.
Things that you don't see on the camera. You guys are obviously investing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars into these events. People
Mm-hmm.
see the pretty stuff, people see the aesthetic graphics, the cool concepts, what have you. But what are a couple of the key things that maybe you don't explicitly tell everybody, but you wish people could know or understand about what it is actually happens behind the
Yeah,
scenes?
totally. I mean, like, yeah, like I feel like that shit is, that's the 95% of my life.
Mhm.
And like probably even more so. And then like the 2% is what you see at the actual events. And that's all polished, perfect, and clean. And it just sort of like, holy, like, I want your fucking life, man. Like it looks like all fun and games. And it's like, dude, you know, I still don't drink. Like the only times I drink are at my events. Like my friends still rip me to this day. They're like, dude, like, why don't you come out? I'm like, dude, I'm fucking working. Like my favorite days to work are Saturday and Sundays.
I shifted totally, by the way, because I in the same boat, want to work on the weekends. My least favorite day of the week is like Saturdays. It's because it's the hardest day to do what you have to do.
To me, Saturday is so exciting because no one hits you up.
Yeah.
Like now that I've kind of gotten that routine of like my friends know that I'm not gonna go out, and if I'm gonna go out, like I'm gonna tell them. So like that I'm not really dealing with too much of like getting bothered to like what am I doing, getting blown up. But more so importantly is like the clients aren't hitting me up. Like the people that I'm
Feel
working with aren't hitting me up. So Saturdays to me is it's like my sanctuary day. It's like my peace.
right.
It's like that's when I can focus on the bigger picture shit. That's when I can draw out like, okay, what are the things that I want to do? Monday to Friday for me is the things I have to do.
Sure.
And then for Saturday is like, okay, let's plan the future. Like these are these bigger picture ideas, like larger than life that I really want to do. And so that's how I approach Saturdays. And like my best work always gets done on Saturdays, just without a doubt. And there's like a, sort of a feeling of motivation, like, kind of that chipping shoulder. Well, other people are out, like I'm working,
Yeah.
and kind of fuels the fire a little bit.
Yeah.
But really it's just about like time spent on the business. And it's like, I'm going to put more time into what I'm doing than anybody else and get to like speak back to your question is like, what is that shit off camera? Like, I am constantly working. Like it's 5 p.m. right now. I will go home and I will be working.
Yeah.
Like I will, this Saturday I'm going on vacation. I will be working.
Yeah.
And it looks like very pretty and fun. It's fucking exhausting. Like we just shot that promo video that we had a lot of success with, which was like, we held traffic. Like we put a table in the middle of Michigan Ave and shot a promo video. Dude, that promo video took us 4 fucking hours in the freezing cold. Like literally it was like 28 degrees and we were getting the perfect take because like there was moments where, cars were passing, like a whole bus would pass by, it would ruin the shot, and we're waiting for this red light, like not enough cars would pile up, so we'd have to wait for the perfect moment. Like my lips were literally freezing, so I started stuttering. And like, so we had to go take a break, and then we shot out. So it's like 4 fucking hours for this one video, and it's like no one sees that.
It's all the little things.
Yeah, and,
sure.
and so and like this past event we just had at Recess, Powder, which was this concept we built, which was advertised as this outdoor winter après ski party series. Outdoors, the risk you take, and this weekend it was like colder than Antarctica. So the equipment wasn't going to work. The people could have gotten frostbite. We had to make this adjustment. I had to pour an extra $30,000 into this event to just move everything inside, build up the stage, make sure that we still delivered on those promises,
sure,
still delivered that value, because then you're dealing with unhappy customers, you're dealing with refund requests, which like, my number one priority is like people having a good time, money comes after. If we can check the box 1, box 2 will come.
Right.
So like, when we're there the night before and, I have such a good team now, shout out to my boy, John Schroeder and his squad. Like they're been, a lot of late nights for them.
Yeah.
And like,
I was going to ask you that too. Who are some of like the closest people that are supporting what you were doing that like you can't fulfill your operation without?
Yeah. Like
partners like that, your co-founder.
Totally. Like John Schroeder with Synergio, like, dude does, I don't know where Thank You for Dancing is without him.
And he's doing stuff like stage production.
Stage production, decor, custom activations. He really gives me the ability to like flex my creativity. I have a very like, let's do a ball pit. Mm-hmm. He's like, all right, here's how we can do it. Let's make it. I'm like, let's do a confessional booth, like where we'll put a comedian in it. Like, it's like, all right, let's do it. And so, he's coming up with wacky, crazy, out of the box ideas too. And then, we have my employees, which, Corey, which is like our marketing director, which she dedicates her life to the brand too. Like she's working on Saturdays with me too. Like she's working insanely late hours. Like I have to tell her, I'm like, you are not required to do this. Mm-hmm. Like I'll be like, hey, she'll text me on a Saturday, like that she's working. And I'm like, hey, you don't have to work. Like go and she's like, I know, I want to get shit done. Yeah. And I feel it's kind of like the culture that we built. It's like, I set the tone as well as like, I show you that I'm going to, like, I'll lead the way and I'll show you that like, I'm willing to get my hands dirty too. Yeah. I feel like kind of buys in, but my business partner, of course, Ben, has been monumental in not just Thank You for Dancing, but like my entrepreneurial journey as a whole. Yeah, I would say that those 3 core are probably the people that I talk to most.
Amazing.
Yeah.
One thing that's
oh my god, someone's gonna fucking freak out if I don't mention this. And Brando is my boy. He carries this shit on his back. He does a lot of work that I don't want to do, especially with Sunday Morning Club. Like he takes over the operation. So yeah, and he believes in the vision, and he loves the shit more than I do, honestly. So like getting people around you that like can really buy into your vision is very important.
It's powerful stuff. I love it. How are you guys continuing to come up with these concepts and reinvent what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. That's another thing that's tough. We talk a lot about competition, especially in a big market like Chicago. People copying ideas, people copying concepts, people doing similar style events around the same holidays. How do you continue to A, cut all that out, but B, continue to reinvent yourself and what you guys are doing to scale that long-term vision?
Totally. That's the hard part, man. Like, especially now when you're just so bogged down with like the necessary shit, which is like the boring stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the fun stuff is like only 5%, like coming up with that. And then like the putting into place is like the exhausting shit. So your creativity over time like dwindles. But I feel like, yes, in terms of like you feel the pressure is like you have to constantly reinvent yourself because you know you kind of like you set the bar here, and then everyone kind of they start to mimic or take inspiration and develop their own way, and like then they're on equal playing field. So it's like, okay, then we need to do here. Then it's just this game of just who can keep going bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we're just trying to get into events. It's like, how can we make this barrier to entry like so high? Which is like why our event costs have gotten like so fucking insanely high. Like our St. Patrick's Day budget's going to be like 300 to 350K just for one day. Like that's our budget. Like just our expenses. So it's a lot of taking inspiration like from things in the past, that have like trends in the past that have kind of died down, or you just look at different things that are happening in the world. And for powder, for example, which was one of our biggest hits, was like Aspen is, what's cool in the summer everywhere, like what's cool in the winter, Aspen, like that's like the only fucking place.
Yep.
And you always see the après ski parties. And then you always hear like winter in Chicago sucks. Like no one does anything in the winter because you can't go outside. And I just kind of thought to myself, I was like, who says we can't go outside? I was like, why? Like you go out when you're in Aspen, you're outside.
Right.
Like why is that unique just to Aspen? And I was like, okay, if people in Aspen can do it, like let's take the risk and see if people in Chicago can do it. And it starts with there is like, how can we take like one idea and like let's take it like one step further. I think like, yeah, like always inspired by like different cultures and different cities and things of the past, like Studio 54 and like movie references, even like look at Saltburn, like what are they doing, like so which is like you almost have to be like a student of it.
100%.
Which is the exhausting part, is like you have to be kept in
hyper aware.
Yeah, of everything that's going on around you. And but yes, like now we have seen like so many people mimic and copy what we're doing. And I feel confident to say copy because like, yes, like we literally have people where like they're stealing our name and we have it trademarked. We're sending cease and desists. Like, they're stealing our concepting, like bar for bar. Like they're stealing not only the concept, but then they're stealing like the hook. Like we just had a video for Powder, that went totally viral. And the hook was, so everyone says Chicago's dead in the winter. So we decided to fix that. 5 different fucking people throughout the country copied that exact line. And I'm like seeing these videos, they're going viral. So like, I'm like, obviously I don't have.
You got to take it as a compliment.
Yeah, of course, you can't trademark a fucking hook.
Yeah.
But, like, but it's, of course, like that's at that initial frustration. And then you're like, yeah, like it's flattering.
Right.
So, it's like the only time I really get upset is like you're stealing the name, like you're trying to, or they're like taking our content, like literally like videos of me and then dubbing words over, or they're like stealing DJ sets and pretending like from my events and pretending it's their party to promote their party. It's fucking insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, whether it is like inputting new artists and DJs and stuff like that, like what's got you really excited right now? How do you continue to push the envelope for yourself, keep you inspired?
Yeah, like I think that's like the most important thing is like constantly pushing the envelope. To me, like it's so I can get complacent easy if I'm like not reaching for something that's out of my grasp.
Right.
So I'll always like make a goal for myself is like everything that I do like has to be bigger than the next. Like it has to have like some variability of that I haven't done. Like so I can learn something and put myself in that position where when I work the best is when I feel the pressure. So, I'll, this St. Patrick's Day, our biggest ever event, shooting for 9,000, 10,000 people, however it may be. I've never fucking done that before. My biggest event last year was St. Patrick's Day, 5,000. So it's like, we're going to then double that?
Yeah.
I had no idea if I can do it, but I'm like, let's at least try. And then, that's how you get that growth where it's like, you can only do things you haven't done if you try to do them.
Right.
If you always do what you've already done, then you're just going to do the things you've already done and you'll be the same exact person. It's like, so that growth comes from simply reaching for things out of your grasp. So, you know, and then it ties back into like, how do we make it more difficult for people to copy us? And so those projects kind of had me more excited, where it's like, you know, this summer where, you know, we're going to have like $2 million in expenses and just like producing these events.
Unreal.
And it's just like, you know, that scares the fucking shit out of me. Like I constantly am going back and forth like with my business. Like we'll have more expenses in 2026 than we made in revenue in 2025 with everything that we have mapped out. And that's exciting and it's terrifying. Like it's exciting to think about like the possibilities, and you know, naturally you want to kind of take like this linear upwards growth.
Right.
But like, I feel like in this industry specifically, like there's a clock ticking. Like, you know, I can only be the face of the brand I can't be 40 doing this shit.
Right.
So like, I'm like, we got to get to fucking point A here now.
Has to happen now. And I thought about that too, right? I don't compare to what you do to the traditional nightlife that we spoke about before, but there always are these shifts every few years, every couple of years. What's new, what's hot, what's coming back. What is the long-term scale play for you guys? Is it, let's launch in other markets, let's double down on the volume of parties we're doing, let's find venues with bigger capacities?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like you honestly just like hit it on the head, like right there. It's like, yeah, it's like, you know, there's so many different options that are ahead of us, and it's like we can go through whichever one of these paths. Like we can choose to go to more cities. Like we can choose to, you know, find bigger venues and go to bigger capacities, or like we can choose to just like increase our quantity of events. And my thought process is I'm like, well, we need to try it all.
Yeah.
So it's like now we've just been rapidly expanding. Like I've just been cutting the shit out of my salary, like taking less so we can expand faster, which is like risk. And it's like, you know, everyone's like, you should be saving money, which I don't spend that much. I'm very frugal with my money. I don't go out. I don't go on vacations. But I will put everything back into the business.
Right.
And I forget what was even the initial question?
The opportunity to scale. What?
Oh yeah, the opportunity to scale. Yeah, and so it is one of those things where it's like, you know, I do feel like I'm biting off more than I can chew, but part of me is like, well, let's just try everything, see what works, and then we'll have like for certainty, like, okay, let's go on this.
Right.
But I do feel confident in like the hires we're making and like the systems that we're putting in place, and like, you know, now that we have this like roadmap and general understanding of like, okay, we launch an event, like how do we build a brand? Like it's down to a science, and it's like, okay, how do we replicate this a million times over? So that's kind of been the trajectory for moving forward, is like scaling is like, how do we get these systems in place as tight as possible, and like how do we reduce the friction of like creating these new concepts and rolling them out and all that.
Love it. One final question before we close it out here. What are some of the things, right? You talk about we're to have more to pay in expenses this year than we did in revenue last year. With all the pressure, with all the stress, with all the anxiety that comes along with running and owning a business, what does Kyle do for himself to keep himself sane, calm, focused? Any advice, tips, tricks, just in general, right? I know everybody has their things.
I always laugh at that question because like I feel like
perfect answer.
No, there's not. And I laugh at that question probably mainly because like I feel like people, like there is like this stigma. It's like, I gotta protect my peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gotta focus on like, you know, my mental health, which is important. Like that is, and for a lot of people, like that's very important. But if you have aspirations and you have ambitions and like you want to go to places that other people haven't, and you want to scale in faster than others around you, it's like, dude, like,
it's gonna hurt.
Sorry,
kind of like you have to go through pain.
Yeah, of course, and like that's where that like discomfort comes from. And you know, when it's like going to the gym. It's like progressional overload. So it's like, you know, I can you used to your 9 to 5, and then maybe you start to work like an hour after work, and then you start to get used to that, and then some more hours after work, and then it's just like it over time. It's just like that's the fucking norm.
Right.
It's like there is, the main things that I do. I'll go to the sauna every once in a while. I talk to my girlfriend on the phone after work. Usually I'll call her at like 10:30 at night, like when I'm getting ready for bed, and she's very respectful of my boundaries. Like knows that like I want to work and I want to work a lot. But other than that, like no, like I don't think like your number one concern like shouldn't be about like protecting your mental health when you're in those early stages.
Right.
When you're in those early stages, like once you kind of had that initial success, like then, focus on not burning out. Like, yes, like start to implement these practices that will keep you sane. Like for me, like it's being healthy. Like that's for me. It's like if I drink and I'm hungover and then I eat like shit, then I'm going to hate my life. And it's going to make like there's going to be so much friction surrounding me wanting to work.
Right.
But if I'm healthy and I'm not drinking and I'm prioritizing my sleep and all those things are aligned, then I'll just feel good, and I won't like working those longer hours. It won't feel as daunting, and it'll feel more exciting.
Sometimes it takes time to know what works for you.
Totally. Yeah.
Experiencing it until right.
Yeah. Like everyone's different. Like don't listen to like Kyle just because Kyle said I have to go fucking manic because like on the like dude, figure out what works for you. And that's like the best part about being a human being. It's like we're conscious. Like we can figure out what is best for me as an individual.
Absolutely.
And like, yeah, don't take advice face value on podcasts. Like what works for me might not work for you.
Exactly. We have a famous wrapping question here. Knowing what you know now and who you are today, if you had to give the 18 to 21-year-old version of Kyle advice or just tell him something, what would that be?
Let me think for a moment to give some profound philosophical answer.
This is the clip, so.
Yeah. What would be my advice that I would give to my younger self? I'm trying to like not say something cliche, but I feel like the things that are cliche are the most truthful.
100%.
Which is like expect failure. Like, I think that when I first started trying to become an entrepreneur, I was so consumed by the idea of like, what if it didn't go perfect? And then what would people think about me had it not gone perfect? And like that to me, almost like that social pressure of like people thinking I'm a failure was actually more daunting than like the actual failure. And like what was gave me that inability to like take that risk because I was like, oh shit, like what do people think about me? And now I look back, I'm like fucking love failing, like love learning. Like you embrace it. And when you embrace that concept of like, okay, it's okay to fail, then you'll just naturally be more ambitious. And the most important thing to me in business is taking risk. And like, if you are not taking risk, then what the fuck are you doing? Like literally, how are you going to progress? Like for you, you rent this studio, you have all this equipment, like that's fucking risk. Putting so much time into a job, like, or a skill that you might not know pan out, or a side hustle, that's risk. So, understanding like taking risk is the number one most important thing. If you think that you shouldn't do something because you're afraid to do it, then probably a good indicator is like you should do it. So yeah, like take more risk. Don't be afraid of failure.
Awesome. That's amazing advice, Kyle. Thank you again for being on the show. That's a wrap. Link live.